are traveling to Kampala, Uganda to chat with awards-winning filmmaker Raymond Malinga. Discover the brain behind the widely successful animation short film A Calabanda Ate My Homework in his own words. This is Let's Talk.
And thank you for accepting our invitation here, House of Jelly.
No problem. I'm happy to be here. I count every opportunity as a blessing, and I don't take it for granted. There was a time when I used to complain, oh my God, oh, these people want to do this, these people want, oh, they want to talk to you. Then I said, there are people out there who would really want to be talked to, and here I am kind of like not being thankful for those opportunities. So I think I would take any opportunity if somebody wants to talk to me.
Wow. So we will do the same, definitely. So, and congratulations on the success of your short film, Calabanda Ate My Homework. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been what, 3 years now, right, since the film was made?
Well, yeah, you can say so. Yes, 3 years. December this year would be the third year because it came out in 2017 December. So that's 2018, 2019, and 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So before we get even started with talking about the short film itself, let's start at the beginning. Who is Raymond Malinga?
That's an interesting question. Okay, I'm going to act like no one has asked me that question before.
Oh, okay.
My God. No, but anyway, Raymond Malinga. So, I am an animator from Kampala, Uganda, or rather, I would say filmmaker, because I regard what I do as filmmaking. And I own a company called Creatures Animation here in Kampala, Uganda. I employ 8 people, and we're expanding. We're trying to get to a target of about 16 people. And our aim as a company is to develop content that presents the African spirit in new and fantastic ways. So what we like to do as a company, and me personally, is to look around at things that people kind of take for granted, be it a story, be it an item, be it an experience that we see every day, and just kind of elevate it to something new. And that's basically the mission of our company. And so if I should also go back to, I started from the end, but let me go back a bit more. So I studied in Malaysia in Multimedia University.
Okay.
That was in 2010. And that was after I stopped doing computer science here in Kampala, Uganda. So I got the opportunity to go to Malaysia to study animation and visual effects. And I remember that because like I had to kind of pitch to my dad why I was going to study animation, because at that time there was no reason why anyone would go and study animation. There were like no animators that could be named in the region.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the opportunity to go. I quit computer science after like 2 semesters, like 1 semester. I was in the middle of the second semester. Then I went to Malaysia, and the only thing I had equipped was my storytelling. I couldn't draw, I couldn't do anything. So I entered basically an art course with no artistic credibility at all. But I told myself, if I go, it doesn't matter if I start off like this, it matters how I end, you see. So I kind of went in with that mentality. And there were a lot of things that happened, because like the way I went to Malaysia, I wanted to go to America first, but the tuition was so high, and I was very scared of getting a scholarship because I couldn't apply. I had no portfolio, I had nothing, right? So I was like, let me look for the next best option. So I just kind of fell on Malaysia. I had no idea. I'd never seen anything from Malaysia in terms of animation. I applied. Then when I got there, I just remember saying, like, there's this thing that they used to do, like with all the new people in the course, the foundation year, they tell you, why are you here, what brought you into this, blah blah blah, right? So I remember saying distinctively, I came here to study animation and I want to go back and start my own company, right? And that was back in 2010. So it's been a while. I've been thinking like this for a while, and over the years, I really worked my ass off, right? If I can say ass.
No worries.
Yeah, so you bleep it in case it's not supposed to be said. Okay, so I worked, and I just tried my best every single day to make sure that I improved myself, knowing my limitations as an artist. And so what I told myself is, you know, it's how I end. I just kept that in my mind, right? I just have to end strong. So throughout the years, I developed my skill. I kind of entered as a 2D animator, but I remember I hadn't even considered doing 3D animation at all, which is funny when I say it now.
Mm.
But one of my lecturers actually encouraged me that, your problem was, my problem was drawing, right? I could draw, but I built up my drawing skill, but I was really slow making those decisions. So my teacher told me, 3D might actually be something for you. So I kind of looked into it, and I just fell in love with it, and I just started doing 3D. So 3D has also kind of made me go back to 2D as well, because I gained the confidence in 3D, and then kind of went back. Yeah, so basically, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah. So pretty much, we were fortunate enough to I ended my university degree with I did a short film called White Collar Time with three of my classmates. One of them kind of abruptly left the university, but so we finished it, three of us. But we were fortunate enough to get awards, student awards for our student short film. We won Hello Fest Indonesia. We won a picture Malaysia. We went to Japan for Digicon. So we got awards for that, and that kind of uh, reestablished my resolve that this decision was kind of was a good thing to come to Malaysia. And then during our graduation, just before our graduation, we do our graduation films, right? So um, that one that we kind of used to get all those awards. So I was hired by a studio called Wow Animation, WAU, and before I graduated, and I was with them for about 7 months. And I remember it was one of the most conflicting things that I ever went through, because I always knew that I'd come to Malaysia to leave. I never wanted to go there. I was like the big champion of, if all of us who study abroad stay outside, then what does that mean for the continent that we keep on complaining about, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, why am I in this company, you see? But the thing is that they were such lovely people, and I do not regret being there, because I worked as a screenwriter, an animator, and a concept developer for their TV show called Agent Ali. And I learned so much from those guys, and they're still my friends up to today. And I prematurely ended my stay there before signing a contract, and told them, you know what? I really want to go back and start something. I had no business doing that. You can imagine my African parents saying, "You got a job abroad, and you want to leave it." So I just remember flying back to Uganda with so much resolve, and I came back. I'll never forget. I have like some specific dates I'll never forget. I came back to Uganda on December 22nd, 2014. I started my company on January 1st, 2015, with my brother, and we started in the boys' quarters, these small rooms behind, behind like the house. Then we moved to the garage after that, and the whole of 2015 we made no money, which is typical for a lot of entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
And then and part of it was ridiculous, because I remember the flight from 21st December to 22nd December. I telling myself, I am not going to do ads. I'm not going to do ads. I'm not going to do ads. I'm going back to do like content, right? But then the funny thing is, like, the first job we got was an ad, right? In 2015, and I didn't want to do it, right? Of course, my position on that has kind of changed now, but that whole year was really difficult, because I was conflicted with learning how to run a business. Uh, Trying to understand whether or not the decision I had made to leave was the right one. You see, and just trying to, just trying to navigate all of this. And I remember, luckily, my graduation was a year after. A year after I finished, so I went back to Malaysia in 2015, and at the end of 2015 in September. And I remember meeting my former employers, and I showed them what I'd been up to. That was part of my pressure. I didn't want to go back to Malaysia and show them that I hadn't been doing anything. So I kind of showed them what I'd been up to. I remember the first thing he told me. this was the CEO. He told me, it's like you've forgotten all the stuff you told me you wanted to do. That's like, because that's the only reason why he let me leave, right?
Wow.
Then he told me, don't you have your own ideas, right? Something. And I was like, this is stuff I already knew, but I just wasn't doing because I was kind of confused. So like, I remember leaving, flying on the plane and saying, I'm not going to do the same thing I was doing the whole of the year. I'm not going to do the same thing, right? Then when I landed in Uganda, what's so interesting is that I just started a Calabanda at my homework immediately with my brother.
So who
And
wrote the script?
yeah. So the concept is mine. I developed it in 2014.
Okay.
And what I did is that I tasked my brother, because he did not have any artistic, he didn't have like any film background, and yet it was only going to be the two of us. So one of the things that I believe in is teamwork. And so I believe that it was very important that this film was not made by me alone. So the first thing I did was that I started training him on how to write. So he learned how to write while doing a Calabanda at my homework. So it was really a crazy process, learning film structure and all this. So I was kind of like a co-writer on it, but the physical writing, of course, it was him. It was his training program. It was his training program, basically. And then we used that project, Calabanda at my homework. We told ourselves, when it was the two of us, that we are going to hire and train a team off of this project. And I used the same concept that I used when I left in 2010, which is, it doesn't matter how we started, it's how we end the project, you see. So we aimed to end the project with a team, a competent team, and to have a film that hopefully would get an award. That's all we wanted. We only just wanted one, right? Because the only one. So if I got one award, I just thought that my team would gain the confidence that other teams in the country and the region probably didn't have. You can get financial rewards, but you don't have this credibility, like, let's say, accolades, right? So I wanted to correct that. So
which
yeah,
you've received a lot of,
yeah.
right? You've received so many. I saw winner in Abidjan, at the Black Star Film Festival, shorts everywhere. Official selections, and you even screened at the 2018 Cannes Film Festival. So that is credibility right there. If they didn't believe you at first, definitely now they believe you.
But ironically, the only award that I wanted us to get is one we didn't get. We didn't get any local award in Uganda, and we didn't. And the thing is that that's all I wanted. I only wanted one award from Uganda, but we didn't get any. And I don't know. Don't let me get into why. But the thing is, we got all these others, and I have to be thankful for that, right? I can't dwell on the fact that we didn't get this other, but I just say it now out loud whenever people talk about these awards, because I feel like it's interesting how things turn out. And that's a good lesson for people who are listening, maybe, to kind of understand that sometimes you just have to aim, right? And sometimes you might not hit your target, but you might hit a better target, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, so that's the thing. So yeah. So no ill will towards them. It's fine, but it's cool. Right?
Well, it's coming. It's coming, definitely. So, well, you've answered this already. What inspired you and everything? But as of now, it's now 2020. How is the art and animation landscape in Uganda in general? Have things changed now, or how was it compared to when you started?
Well, over the years, while I was in Malaysia, you have this conflict. When I left, there was nothing. So I had this, what do you call it? You call it, it's like you feel like you're going to be the savior, right? That savior complex.
Okay.
And I wanted to be the one who comes and does it first, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm glad to say that I've matured, because like over the time when I was in Uganda, some other guys kind of got started and they got some kind of success as well. And then it made me mature and realize that, I don't mind if we're not the first. I think we just have to be the best, right? And just work at being the best every single day. And like right now, there are like a couple of studios. Animation is not something that people don't know. That's a good thing. Back in 2010, my mom was like, "What? Even people study this thing?" But now, like, it's not really far-fetched for somebody to believe that you can go and study animation. But there are still very few organized teams. That's one thing. There are many freelancers. which is freelancers and just independent artists. There are people who dabble in animation, and there are people who call themselves animations per project, right? Animators rather per project. But like but the landscape is improving. I feel like in terms of even payment, there's a little more respect for it. But it could be better, just like all film are across the continent. But I have to be thankful that it's a journey, and all we have to do as filmmakers is to keep on pushing the boundaries so that they have reasons to actually respect our industries. So that's what I think.
Yeah, because it seems like speaking with different filmmakers from different parts of Africa, one main challenge is people not understanding really the power of film, and that the film industry can actually support the economy. It seems like people think, oh, they're just wasting their time playing with cartoons or whatever, not seeing it as an actual career. That is a challenge. So it's good to hear that the mentality is changing.
Yeah, I think like I empathize with that sentiment that filmmakers have, but again, I've really had time to analyze this stuff, right? And I just think that we have to give every industry kind of starts like this, because hearing the industry in Malaysia, and I was lucky, the guys that I was working with were the guys responsible for actually transforming the animation industry there. So I was very fortunate. Okay. Like their project was the one that transformed the entire industry. And he was explaining to me what it looked like before. And we usually, because we're late to the maturity of our industry, and a lot of other industries have matured, we kind of tend to feel like we're going to solve this with words. But then when you hear like other people who have gone through this, sometimes they just say like you have to give them no reason to doubt it. You understand? And sometimes, and it's someone told me about a book called is it Founders, something like that, or Starters, something like that, about the people who bring about new industries, what they go through. You have to be willing to accept that your role in this story might not necessarily be the role. You might not live to see. This is something that they say. You might not live to see the industry that you're looking for, and that's something that you're taking on as one of the beginning people. And like the thing is, I asked myself that question: like, is this worth continuing and doing? If what I want is for it to happen tomorrow, yet the truth is that it might not. You see, it could, but it might not. And I think that, funny enough, that only the people who are willing to go through that probably will see the benefits of this. You see, so my perspective on this entire journey is that I understand my role and I understand my position as one of the beginning people in this industry, and I have to deal with the consequences of that, right? Yeah. So my job is to just make sure that I break those barriers as much as I can. That's it.
Yeah, because really that is the role of pioneers, right? It's like laying the foundation.
It's called pioneers.
Yeah. It's like laying the foundation so that others can build upon it. And it takes a lot of work, sacrifices, and that maybe the people who will be at the top of the building will never know about, right? But it's worth doing, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I think in hindsight it is. While you're doing it, it's really ugly. That's the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to sugarcoat anything. Like I try to be as real as possible. I feel like I'm one of the realest entrepreneurs that you'll ever find. Like I'll tell you, it is so fulfilling when you achieve it. But man, was it difficult. It was so difficult. And I can, if I get an opportunity to talk to somebody, I can contextualize and comprehensively tell you why it was difficult, right? Yeah. But the thing is, you can't sugarcoat this. People didn't want to talk to me. Like just a couple of years ago, they didn't want to. I walked into offices, they didn't want to. I talked to people, Kalabanda at my homework, they were like, are you mad? What the heck is this? They didn't want to. Right. So the thing is, the thing is, I have to appreciate that people want to talk to me now, but I also have to tell people who want to get to probably where I am or beyond that you have to understand what it's going to be, right? So, yeah, cool. That's it.
Yeah, so some of the challenges for many filmmakers in different parts of the world, but it seems like in Africa it's a big challenge. It's finances, finding
Mm.
perhaps corporate sponsors or even state subsidies or whatever, to really support projects. In making your short film, was that something that you encountered?
Well, in the beginning, we tried to procure a few funds from people. These were the meetings that I was going through, and no one was understanding what we're trying to do. But I did have a couple of savings that I did have in the beginning, like that I used to register the company and just start off with a few things. And then I quickly, and this is like goes back to what I was saying, like when you actually listen to people who came before you, um, in different industries, it kind of demystifies this funding thing sometimes, right? They talk about, no, we made it, but we were doing stuff on the side to kind of fund ourselves.
Yeah.
And then once you hear this from so many people, you start realizing that's what I have to do. I'm not going to start going around, because I rushed around for like what, about a year, no one was talking to us. Then the moment I kind of stopped thinking about that, the project just started moving, because we only had one, everything all the funds we were getting or just putting back into the company, because we had a motivation. And then after that, you gain the rewards after. This is all about it's any business, any startup. Like you bootstrap a bit, and then the rewards come. But I do say, like, going forward, like we do want, we have started getting into that roadblock. Like we want to make a TV show now, but of course there are limitations with financing. Like we will get there eventually, but I don't want to take another 2 years to make a TV show. Yet I can probably do it in a year now with the expertise that we've gained, you see. But now the problem is money. So yeah, it is a problem at a certain stage, but it's not always a problem at every single stage. There are ways around it. You just kind of have to deal with the lemons that you're given, I guess, right?
And be
just
creative,
so like
right?
yeah, and then like I feel like not all countries' business models are going to be the same, you see, for filmmaking. And that's something that I've accepted. In Malaysia, they probably they have a business model that's purely production of animation, then they go into merchandising and all this. But I found like in Africa, a lot of the animation studios double as schools. They get revenue as schools as well. The guys in Malaysia don't even have schools. They have universities that check out students. They don't even do that.
Wow.
And they can't even comprehend how to have a school inside your studio. But us, we've kind of we produce content almost at a similar rate, yet we have different revenue streams, right? So like we're operating more like a traditional startup or company or any other company that's just kind of looking for revenue streams to fund their projects, rather than an established industry where you only do one thing. And maybe there's something beautiful in that. Maybe our companies might actually grow to be much larger than those companies because they are more diverse. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm done. I talk a lot, but yeah, I'm done.
It's something that came across my mind as you were saying that you did train your brother, and you built the team, and it took you 2 years to make this film. So it sounds like you're already training the next well, should we call them the next generation? But you're already training people. So perhaps the next step is having a school, or who knows, or being a trainer of some sorts.
I think what we're going for is we're positioning ourselves as a company that prepares people to do these large scale projects. So we don't want to go into schools, but we do have a training program that's coming up. So the training program is for people who have left school or people who are freelancers but want to learn and kind of level up to the demands of original content, because that's very different from the demands of advertising. It's kind of like kill your darlings. That's what happens in original content development. Like you're constantly liking something and destroying it and hating it and then going to the next thing. Like you don't know how many jokes in Kalabanda Ate My Homework we scrapped, but some of them might have been good, some of them might have been bad, I don't know. But then like we eventually came up with a product and nobody else knows that all those jokes exist. So it's one of those things. So it's a very different mindset. So training those people to kind of fit into that pipeline is something that we're positioning ourselves as.
That's great. That sounds awesome. And I actually saw that you have a few women, actually 2 that I saw. So that's great to see that women are, involved in animation. It seems to be, gaming animation, 3D stuff. It's always boy stuff. So
Yeah,
it's great to see that you have some women in your team.
yeah. I personally have I take the position and the stance that as long as you're good, you should be able to contribute, right? Or as long as you're willing, you should be able to contribute. Of course, so I think that the notion that it is only for guys should also be kind of demystified for girls, because I think that sometimes, like, I taught at a school for about 2 years in here in Uganda. I was the head of animation at an institution, and I graduated like a total of 3 girls, but that wasn't my fault because only 3 girls applied for the animation program, right? And I kept on asking why, because I used to do the orientation and encourage the girls to come and join, but there was just this thinking that it wasn't for them.
Exactly.
So I think it also begins from, there's some need to also kind of maybe encourage them that it's not only for us, for guys, right? Because if I'm challenged with why there are less women on our team, I say, man, yo, there are only 3 girls that I graduated out of like 45 students. So and you can't guarantee that all of them are 3. I wouldn't want to insult them by just hiring them as token hires, you see. So but we've kind of gone around that by, there's another strategy that we're putting into place to kind of solve that problem. If no one else is solving a problem, there's an opportunity to solve it, right? So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the film going to Cannes Festival, which is one of the largest, if maybe not the largest. What was your experience like?
Well, my experience in Cannes was overwhelming. First of all, it was just great to be there, right? But we went through an animation festival in New York. We qualified, and they had a program slated in Cannes, and we were lucky enough that the 10 movies that they chose, we were part of them, out of like hundreds. And so like we went there, and it was really interesting because at Cannes, you kind of come from Africa, Uganda, as the guys who made the cool film, but here are like 5,000 other filmmakers roaming around that festival, and they're the cool guys from their places too. So the thing is, like, you kind of quickly learn that to stand out, you have to do like some crazy things, right? So like you kind of get noticed and stuff. So it was really a fulfilling experience. And I think one of the reasons why I really wanted to go there, and I went there with my brother, is that I had always been talking to my team about what's out there, you see, and not to get satisfied with what we've created here, because I was aware of the limitations we had when we were creating our short film. And so I wanted to go with my brother because I wanted my brother to see what was out there, and his perspective just changed, because like the 10 people who we were lined up with when we had our screening, you just see amazing film after amazing film, and our film was amongst them, so we couldn't say ours was amazing too. But like the thing is, his perspective, just going there just once, change his perspective. And I want to do that for the rest of my teammates too. Like, if we get an opportunity to go somewhere where we can afford to take someone else, they should go. Because like, part of this is about, I brought the experience from abroad back home. And this goes back to my responsibility that I spoke of like, if all of us stayed outside, we have no right to complain about the state of the continent. So I brought my experience from abroad, just undergraduate experience, right? But but the thing is that when I came home, I brought to these 7 other people just a small portion of abroad and a perspective. And so they were working with a different perspective, even if they couldn't fully grasp it, you see. And then when I took my brother abroad, when we went abroad, rather, I didn't take him, we went abroad, and he came back. Now we're like 2 people with 2 different with perspectives. So like the team is kind of feeding off of that energy. So I want to kind of, my aim is to get like a whole team that has that kind of energy. And so I have a teammate who actually also quit his job in Malaysia and came back and joined us. So like now we're like 2 degree holders on our team, and at least 3 people with like different perspective of what the film landscape looks like. So my aim is to get that to, like, let's say 10 people, 16 people. And like, if we're all operating like that, then I think we're always going to produce amazing stuff. So
yeah. So from your perspective, would you say that Africa is well represented as far as animation is concerned on the world?
No.
No. What do you?
I think that what I think is that every now and again, you see, what does representation mean? Representation means that people can kind of, like, when you say, oh, do you know any animators from this place? Probably they can say, oh yeah, I know, right? Something like that. But like, I feel like every now and again, every year we get like 1 or 2 films that kind of stand out, but then it fades away for like a couple of years. Then another 1 or 2 films come out. You understand? Yes. And so I feel like my answer to that question would be like, guys are trying, but the representation is low, but not because they're not doing good work. It's just that the amount that we're releasing is not enough, you see. So we're not well represented, but every time we are represented, guys try, right? So
so there's definitely hope. There are people doing the work. It just needs to be pushed out there.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet a couple of people. I went to Nigeria. I know a couple of guys in Kenya. I went to South Africa and Cape Town. So I do know at the grassroots level, there are people doing things. And I've been fortunate enough to talk to some of them, some who are ahead in their company journey than me, some who are lower, and I just kind of pass off anything I know. So pass on rather anything I know. So the thing is, I feel like guys are trying to do the work, but they kind of have to understand film and animation has just creating it is just part of it. You see, there's marketing, there's business. It's a film business, right? You see, and people forget that Hollywood it's a movie business. People only focus on the film part of it, but they forget about the business part of it. Exactly. So that's stuff that I try to say whenever I get the opportunity to say it. Yeah.
Because it sounds like, again, this is based on conversations I've had with other people. It sounds like creative just want to create. You know, the business aspect, they're not so much interested in, or it's just annoying, or it's just something, you know. So perhaps, how have you been able to blend the two? Because you were forced to blend the two.
I feel like, funny enough, I noticed that most of my heroes, or the people I looked up to, were not businessmen in the traditional sense, right? Like if you look at people like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, these guys, let's replace anything they were doing with film. Let's just say that, right? Let's just say Steve Jobs happened to be a filmmaker who went and made Apple the biggest film company. Let's just say that, right? What you find is that they realized early on that in order to get their project to where they needed to get it, right? They needed to treat their companies and their projects just like any other company or product that wasn't, in this case, a film. So the thing is, I keep on asking myself, like, how can I measure myself by the struggling film industry in the continent? I should measure myself by the telecom industry, right? And look at the telecom industry and say, what is it that they're doing well? Those guys know how to advertise like crazy. Like MTN, these people, they're like really good at advertising. And the thing is that now they're inside the internet space. They're giving people loans and everything, right? They like in my country, they do like microfinance and stuff, loans and everything. And I'm like, these guys are diversifying their portfolios, but us, we restrict ourselves from this. And I just started treating myself as, I stopped looking at animation as animation, but I started looking at it as a value addition tool to anything. If I can add value to somebody, that means that there's an opportunity for me to gain some money from there. And that means I can build my business regardless of its limitations, traditional limitations. So that's just what I started doing. So I know that's an over-convoluted answer, but the thing is, I hope there's some sense in what I've just said, right? But that's the way I feel. So like when you ask me how was I able to do this, I just felt like, first of all, I was not a business person. I wasn't. So I didn't have the limitations of how businesses should work, right? So I just kind of went in saying, what's the best way to make this thing succeed? And so I was lucky enough to have some few mentors here and there who kind of gave me tips. But my general conclusion is you should do whatever it takes to make it succeed. That's just my conclusion.
Yeah.
That's it. And I don't mean like kill people and stuff, right? I just mean like, I mean like, but anything. Okay, no, come on, we're recording this. You have to do anything legal, right? to make it succeed. Okay.
Yes, because as a filmmaker, you want to push your project as far as you can push it, and the whole goal is for you to recoup your investment, because it is a product, just like an Apple Watch or Apple computer, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
looking at
And
it
it could
that
be
way.
treated as such.
Yes. Okay. So I know it took about 2 years to put the team together and go through the whole process to make the film, because there are so many steps from, what would you call it? I think traditional, with human beings. I know there are human beings behind with the voices, but I'm saying like the rigging and, oh my goodness, how long is?
Wow, did you just say rigging? Did you just say rigging? Wow,
I did
okay.
say
You did your
rigging.
research.
I did some research.
Okay.
Okay, I did some
Okay.
research, Raymond.
Okay. That's very fascinating. I know you've done your research if you said the word rigging. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, from conception, scripting to the final edit, and again, the rigging was the part that fascinated me, because it's like, how long does the whole thing take?
Well, it depends on the project. And also the fact that I was training people over that period of time, so it did have to take quite a lot of time.
Okay.
Also just kind of establishing pipeline, because like what I left Malaysia with was pipeline. I just went there to understand how is a film made, right? And so the thing is that it does take a while, but I've realized that if you have the right people in these places, in these important points, like you're saying, rigging and all this stuff, it doesn't take a long time. It takes as much time as necessary. I know that's a cop-out answer, sorry. But the thing is that I've realized that I have a teammate, because I came back as a generalist. I could do like everything in the pipeline somehow, right? So, but my aim was to replicate myself in other people. So I would say you are the rigger. So now I have right now a dedicated rigger. I actually haven't animated, I think now for like the past 4 months. I haven't, because like the people who do that on the team now. So the thing is that you replicate yourself, and then things won't have to take a long time. Because I going to South Africa and talking to because like I was fortunate enough to meet like established people in the industry, producers, and like when you hear their conversations, they're not worried about the process. They're worried about telling a good story, and we're not even at that stage whereby we no longer worry about the process. So what I'm trying to fix right now is how do we just get the process out of the way, and then we just start discussing about cool research things and like elevating our skills, showcasing our skills in the best way. Because I think people keep on focusing on. I would want to say this. People don't understand that some of these things shouldn't take a long time. What should take a long time is figuring it out, but not these things that are traditional processes that people already do. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
And we've kind of, somebody feels that because he knows how to rig a character and it takes 2 weeks, then therefore he's an expert. Yet there's an expert out there who rigs in 2 hours, but he struggles for 2 weeks trying to make the rig new and feel different because this specific movie demands it, right? And that's where I want to reach. So yeah, it does take quite a while, but like we're still in that phase of training people. But the dream is to get to a point whereby it's no longer a problem to produce the film. We can do it.
Yeah.
The issue is now, how do we challenge ourselves to always do something new and fresh? That's the challenge now.
And perhaps also focus on the story, because you can have all the technical skills, but the story is always central.
And that's actually one of the reasons I think some of our stories kind of suffer, because we have to separate our minds between storytelling and trying to figure it all out, right? And paying rent and eating food. You see, right?
Yes.
But like those guys over there, they're like I know they have their own struggles, but one of the things that fascinated me is the guy wakes up with the challenge of, oh my God, this Spider-Man rig isn't working well. You see, he doesn't wake up with the challenge of, oh my God, I have to finish rigging the Spider-Man rig. You understand, right?
Yes.
Which is what we have. You see, so it's something that I want to get to. Hopefully,
you'll get there. You know, it's process. It takes time, and you have the right mindset. So hey, and how
I
did
received those blessings.
yes, please do. And how did you come about picking actors? Because for each character, you have to have the right person who can voice and who can embody the character.
Yeah. So we were very fortunate to get the people that we got. We like, when I say that I went to understand how a film was made in Malaysia, I'm telling you, they didn't teach us voice acting, but one of our teachers was a voice actor, and I sat down and I engaged that guy just to understand how do they do all this stuff? How do I train people to get a performance out of them? And the thing is, I also watched like a lot of behind the scenes, but it's good to have somebody face to face. So I had like a good grasp of everything when I came back. I'd never done it, but I had a grasp of it, right? So like when we were casting, it's actually my brother who suggested the main voice, and we were lucky enough like she went viral after we had casted her, but so it kind of worked in our favor because what we were trying to do, straight from the beginning, you see, we understood that the film is not good enough just to make the film. We had to also kind of be strategic in terms of marketing, and so we tried to cast the right people who were kind of popular in Uganda.
Okay.
And so we casted those people, and yeah, so like, and then also voice training them. Two of them had done some acting, but they've never really done voice acting apart from like, let's say, ads and stuff. So it was kind of like just training them to get the expression out of it and being silly. You look silly sometimes when you're telling somebody to do something. Like when you tell them to like act like the teacher and the teacher is saying something so ridiculous, you just kind of be so ridiculous that the other person in the room feels that if they're ridiculous, they can't be as ridiculous as you, right? You see, so like you push up everyone's ridiculous level, right? So, and just create this atmosphere where everyone is. We had like table reads, we casted them, we talked to them, we made sure that they were comfortable about it. One of our first choices at the time did not want to be part of it because there was some connotation they said with the Kalabanda that they did not want to have. They were kind of religious, and we were like, no, you should read the script. You should read the script. The script's actually really funny and it's really harmless and what. And the guy's like, no, I can't. My brand, and I don't know what he feels about it now, but the thing is, yeah. So so we just took every single stage, and we take every single stage really seriously. That's the thing. Like it's more than just making the film. That's actually just like a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Cast, marketing. We marketed the movie from 2016. So when we put out the first post, and 2017 December is when we released it, and it was intentional.
Yeah.
You see, so we did the trailer in February 2017, but we released the film in December. So people are like, where's the film? They're very used to just getting everything. And we were like, no, we had the film like 3 months before we put it out, but we were like, no, we have to have a strategy of getting it out there. So
yeah, definitely. Wow. And have you done a non-animation film or any, like, I don't know how to call it, like with
live action? It's called live action.
Yes.
No, but I hope to. I have like, if you can call it a filmmaker's bucket list. I have a couple of things that I want to do, and a live action short and a live action. I don't know if I want to do a feature. I feel like I want to do a live action short, but I have not done one yet, save for the things I did in school.
Okay.
But yeah.
Is it different directing people for live action versus them doing voiceover for an anime?
I think in voiceover, because you're not being seen, you kind of have to articulate all the subtleties through your voice. But then again, I don't think any is harder than the other. I think that they just kind of have their own process, and you have to understand that process. But I do understand one thing about live action is that if the actor is in a bad mood that day, right? You can't do anything but wait for him to get in a good mood.
Exactly. It was
But like in animation, we recorded these guys' voices like in 2016, right? And yet the film came out in 2017 December. So if he got into a bad mood in 2017, it didn't matter. We kind of already had his voice. Yeah.
that's
So
great.
like it's one of the reasons why I'm doing animation, because I'm not affected by the weather. We have our own problems, like, oh, it's raining, we can't do the shoot today. I'm like, it's raining in my 3D scene, just switch off the rain, right? So,
Exactly.
so yeah,
Very convenient. So what are
yeah.
some future projects you're working on? Are the are the live action films for soon, or is it down the road? Or
Nah, man. I have my animation bucket list first. I'll first get rid of that, then I'll jump into live action. But anyway, if the opportunity presents itself, never say never. I might do something live action in the near future. But right now we're working on a TV, and not a TV show. You can't say TV show anymore. Things are live streamed and everything these days are streamed, right? So we're working on an animated series. It's called Superstar Subi, and right now that's in development hell, if you would call it development hell. Right? But really the reason is that we had something ready with Subi last year, but I looked at what we had done and I said, I don't want to do Kalabande Eat My Homework again, like that level. So what I decided to do, and these are some of the crazy things and frustrating things my teammates have to go through with me, because I'm incredibly patient, right? Incredibly patient to the frustrations of a lot of people around me. But like I feel like I've kind of dedicated my life to, at least my professional life, even my personal life, to looking back and saying and speaking fondly of what I did and the decisions I made. And I have made some few decisions where I'm like, oh my God, I knew we shouldn't have done that, yet I did it. You see,
yeah.
and and over the years making those decisions, I've kind of gotten this sense of when something is wrong and when something is right. And I kind of like I say no. So I pulled the project and I said, you know what, guys, our team is just fresh off a Kalabanda Eat My Homework. And everyone in my team at that time, I got the sense, maybe they won't admit it, but like my instinct kind of said, everyone kind of had a feeling that they knew how to make a Kalabanda Eat My Homework. And yet the funny thing is that we never made a Kalabanda Eat My Homework to get into the business of making films of that quality. We got into it as a stepping stone to make the next film, you see, of the next quality. So I kind of had to remove them from that atmosphere and now take them through a new training drilling process, right? If we wanted to make a Kalabanda Eat My Homework again, probably we could make it, something of that level. But what we're trying to do is we're going through like a very, very crazy intensive process to kind of not only become technically more um, better at producing something better, but also to change the mindsets of the team. And what I'm doing now is I realize with Kalabanda Eat My Homework, I only change their mindsets momentarily, right? But now I'm trying to embed within them the ability to do that all the time. You see, so that if I ask them the next crazy thing, they'll probably be like, "Let's do it," right? You see? Right? So yeah, so cool.
Yeah, so we're coming to the end of our time together, but one thing that I wanted to ask is how do you envision the future of animation in Uganda in particular and Africa in general?
How do I envision it? I feel like film studios, I would say film, right? I think that film studios have the ability in Africa to structure themselves just like any other company. So, what I envision is not us building movie studios, but us building film ecosystems or networks.
Okay.
That actually, that's what I envision. That and that's the nature of business actually these days. A lot of companies kind of have multiple tentacles, right? And I think that because we have not yet gotten a firm foundation with what our industry looks like, we have an opportunity to mold it the way we want to mold it. So I envision our film studios actually being. There's no reason why I have an animation studio and I can't be producing films, live action. There's no reason why I can't have advertising in there. There's no reason why I can't be running a school, correct? In other countries, they have established the universities are the teachers. We don't teach, but there's no reason why we couldn't teach, right? You see, so I that's what I envision, and I feel like that is where we're going to find the most impact in society. That we are actually going to be able to impact people from a young age, and get them used to these things straight from the beginning. But they will have relationships with the companies. That's what I think. Which is very different from go through a school then choose a company. I feel like that's what's going to be happening with us.
Right. It's about, again, that pipeline, right? They're coming from school, then getting them
Yes.
into a company.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was great talking.
Hey, don't end it yet.
Okay.
Don't end it yet. Don't end it yet. I have something else for you. No, but anyway, there's just something that I like to share with people because it was shared with me.
Okay.
Why do most projects fail at launch? And this is something that most filmmakers need to understand.
Okay.
And this is the principle that we were working with when we were doing a Kalabanda 8 Mile Mark. We had no idea it would work, right? But the thing is that it seemed to have worked. And I feel like while there are many reasons why a project might fail, these are things that you should do to make sure that you give it the best chance to succeed. So there are these three elements. There's production, marketing, and feedback.
Okay.
The way most projects are made, people go and create. They spend so much time in production, and then they do very limited marketing, like a day or night before their project comes out, and then they release it to the world. Then they ask themselves why they don't have a lot of traction. You see, and you also recognize that I left out feedback. They don't even get any feedback because they're locked in their rooms. You understand? So what we did with Kalabanda 8 Mile Homework is how you should actually structure your projects, which is you should develop, while you're developing them, you should be marketing them, and you should actually be getting feedback. So how we got feedback is that we showed some people early on, like I gave like a couple of people I trust with the script who are objective. Some of them aren't even in the film industry. They just read it and they were like, oh, this is really funny. So some of the jokes were landing even before we had the film made. You understand?
Yeah.
So by the time we actually got the film made, we weren't surprised that the jokes landed. You see, right? Because we already knew they were landing, like for 2 years, right? And so like we developed, like, even the character, so we got feedback all the time. The characters, before we released the poster, we show it to somebody. We did what they call an animatic in animation, whereby you have like a sketch version of your animation, and you kind of play it for. We played the oldest person we played it for was like a 70-year-old man, and he chuckled at a couple of things. That's even before the thing is finished, right? So you know that it's going to resonate with someone who's 70, someone like a kid who's 3 years old. We knew it wasn't scary, right? Because we gave it to a kid who was 3 years old and he was laughing at the teacher, right? Instead of actually getting scared. So like we're like, okay, we're in a safe space whereby we're probably not going to get a lot of, and of course we are limited by our funding. We couldn't do a wide scale, a large scope of market research. But the thing is that we did it anyway. And the thing is, at the end of the day, we weren't surprised with the results of the film. And so people keep on asking, oh, your thing didn't go very far. But I'm like, we kind of had a good read of how far it might get. It went farther than we thought, right? We just knew it wouldn't go lower than something. You understand, right? But we already knew that information and we weren't surprised. Other people are like, oh, your thing didn't go this far. You didn't do this. But I was like, but you don't know how to even get the film to get that far. You understand, right? But now we have lessons, and so we're trying our best to kind of re-implement those lessons into our next projects to make sure that they go further. And of course, some of these things are because people already know us now and everything, so probably they'll already be interested. But still, that to get that significant success at launch, you have to intentionally actually do it. Most of us don't do it, and this is the business part of film business, the movie industry.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to understand. I just wanted to share that because I think it's important, and not many people talk about it. Yeah.
It is. Thank you so much for sharing the lessons learned, and definitely I'm looking forward to the journey ahead. Because I feel like there's so much more in store, right?
I received those blessings.
All right. Have a
Always.
great evening in Kampala. Right, evening now, right?
Yeah, it's about like 7 p.m. And also, all the best with your endeavors. I love what you're doing here, interviewing people and everything. And I hope like you're still interested in me in the next year or so, and you have me back on. Right? Yeah. So I just felt like I wanted to slip that into the recording so that we kind of like hold ourselves accountable to it, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
A
But
year,
but but,
a
but,
year
but
from
anyway.
now is just like in a few months. So definitely, we'll be in touch. All right.
Okay, no problem. Take care and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. See you soon.
All right, no problem. See ya.